friends, and welcome back. I knew getting into this book that it had very divided reviews, but I wasn't ready for this. This book follows Marianne and Connell through their last year of high school and through college, and is based in Ireland, which I thought was super fun. And we find out that Connell is raised by his single mother who had him when she was 17, I believe. And we find out about Marianne's family, and she comes from a very wealthy but very broken home. Connell seems like a normal teenage boy in high school, and Marianne is an outcast. She seems a little bit socially awkward and just isn't accepted by her friends or her family or the people that she goes to school with or really anyone around her. Connell's mother is Marianne's family's housekeeper, and that is how they meet and become friends and fall in love. Although Connell loves Marianne, he asks her to keep it a secret and not tell anyone at school that he talks to her or that they know each other because people don't like her, and he's worried about what they would say if they knew that he loved her or that he was even friends with her. And although he wants things to be different, he doesn't even try to change them because he doesn't want people to think differently of him, or he doesn't want to become the outcast himself. There is a whole bunch of other stuff that happens in this book. I'm not going to share it because I don't want to ruin this for you. This book portrays social status and what that means to people and what people are willing to do to keep that or to change it, and especially how it relates to teenagers and people in high school or those early years of college. And we also read about the acceptance of abuse that parents might accept from each other and how that affects kids or teenagers and what that means for them in their relationships. I was so back and forth on this book for a while because there are so many good and bad reviews, and I just wasn't sure if it was going to be a fit for me. And after reading this book, I had to look and see if the author had shared any other information about it, because I just needed to see if there was any other insights to what her thoughts were for this book or for the ending, because I really felt like there was just something missing from the ending of this book. The part that I loved about this book was Sally Rooney touches on so many important topics like social status and physical and emotional abuse, love and heartbreak. I mean, these are such deep topics, but my issue with this book is I just felt like they're all brought up but without really any conclusion. And maybe that's the whole point. Maybe Sally Rooney wants us to know about these topics and decide how we feel about them, but I personally wish there was just a little bit more to the ending of this story for the characters and just a little bit more of that story for the ending. My overall review for this book is going to be a 3.5, and I still haven't decided if I'm being too harsh on it because there were pieces that I loved, but there were pieces that I just really didn't like about this book. And so, for example, I loved the topics that were brought up, but I really disliked that I felt like they were just kind of left there, and there wasn't really a full-rounded message in this book, which I think would have pushed this book way higher for me if there was. Something else that I just really wasn't a fan of with this book was actually the writing style. I was tolerating it. I couldn't stand it in the beginning. I did get to the point where I was able to just look past it and read the book, but they were really short, action-like type of sentences, like Marianne got water, Connell watched her. There's nothing wrong with that. I just didn't really enjoy that writing style. So that was another reason that I just really didn't rate this book super well, because I wasn't a huge fan of that. Another thing was that there were huge jumps in the timeline that I just didn't know if it really made sense. Of course, it worked for the book and it works for where the author was going, but it seemed like there was no rhyme or reason, and it was just one of those things that kind of got to me. So you would finish a chapter and then you would get to the next chapter and it would say 7 months later or 3 hours later. It was just a little bit odd to me. For readability, this was a super short book. It's easy to read. And although I didn't love it, it's still a decent book. And don't let my review be the one to discourage you from reading it. There are so many good reviews for this book. I just personally was one of the ones who didn't love it very much, but if you are interested in this book, I would definitely say give it a try. I think that the topics she brings up, somebody will relate to, or there's such a vast amount of topics she brings up that you're going to relate to something in the book or something about the characters, and it may speak to you more than it did to me. You may love her writing style. I just personally wasn't a fan of this book. When I talked about this book in my August to be read list, I talked about an article that I found that identified 3 themes from this book. They were love, inexperience, and emotional intensity. That makes so much sense to me now. I remember saying in that video that I wasn't sure what that meant or how those meshed together. That definitely makes sense. Those are all present in this book. I mean, I guess I still have questions because I didn't love it. It was interesting. I'm so surprised. Well, and really, I was mixed going into this book. I had read some of the reviews and kind of assumed that this wasn't going to be the book for me, but then I read some reviews that were fantastic and made me super excited to read this book. So I'm kind of sad that I didn't like it, but I know that Sally Rooney has some other really popular books. I will definitely give another one of hers a try. I would like to see how it compares to this one and see if there are qualities of her writing that I like in another book. Maybe it's just this one that I didn't like. And again, I would say that if you're still interested in this book, give it a try. It does touch on some really good topics. The writing was interesting. It may work for some people. I just wasn't a huge fan of it, but give it a try if you're interested. And thank you all so much for watching. Of course, I have linked my Goodreads down below so that you can see what I will be reading next and see my most up-to-date reviews. And I have also linked my Book of the Month Club box below where you can get your first box for just $5. They have a lot of new releases or super popular books. I love to go for the new releases, which you all know. And if you do use that link below, it also helps me get a new book, which I would really appreciate. Again, thanks so much. I'll see you in the next one. Bye!